A nudnik, a real bum.
The bat clowns freak him out.
Jonathan, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. Welcome, listeners, to episode 2 of UHF 60 Seconds with myself, David Johnson, and my co-host.
I just wanted to make you think that you were by yourself.
Well done. I chose to recite those lyrics from the Tiffany song because we are quite a few less people in this episode than we were last episode. It's just Jonathan and I bringing you all the information about episode 2 of this podcast. It's not exactly minute 2.
It's our minutes, so it's minute 2. It's our 62 seconds.
Mm-hmm, indeed. And this 62 seconds starts in the jungle and ends kind of still in the jungle, more or less.
We get some action this minute, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of really one of the only things that happens in this minute. So do we want to get right into the betrayal in the jungle?
I think we do.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm really excited to talk about this minute because I think this minute is kind of why I'm even here.
Sorry, are you going to leave after this minute, or what do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, 93 episodes short, but that's fine. No, it's just I was one of those annoying kids that when someone would come over, I would want to show them this, the cool stuff. And this movie was at one time one of those cool things that I would want to show people. So this minute, not only does it have like funny stuff like, hey, you remember that from Indiana Jones, but it also has a little special effects goof that I thought I was really cool for noticing. And so I was always wanted somebody else to like, did you see that? Did you see that? So now we get to spend an entire episode just saying, did you see that?
So you're referring to the gaff with the wrong arm that gets dismembered?
Exactly.
That's interesting. So you were one of those annoying kids. Were there other parts in this movie that were, did you get that? Did you get that? Was that?
Probably the entire movie, really. But
Well, I gotta say, I'm glad that we didn't watch this together as kids, because if we had, maybe this podcast wouldn't be happening. I don't know.
Shut up.
Yeah, I don't remember because I had watched this movie so much from an early age. I feel like there's several things in this movie that I knew and then as time went on forgot and then rediscovered again in preparation for the podcast. Of course, I was listening to the commentary and Al points out the incorrect prop and I was like, oh, yeah, wait, I do know that.
All right, so for those who are listening and haven't watched the movie, which I hope that's not anybody, this is the familiar shot from Indiana Jones where the guy's going to betray him, he's going to shoot him, and then he turns around and whips him. But in this case, he whips his arm completely off, and then we see it fall to the ground, and it's not the same arm. He whips his left arm off, and his right arm falls to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually disappointed when I listened to the commentary because... yeah, Weird Al definitely makes it sound like it was a goof, like it was the wrong arm. And that kind of made me sad because I always thought forever that
that was part of the gag.
Yeah, it made it even funnier.
Yeah, because it's like it's ridiculous that he strikes out with his whip and the guy's arm kind of just falls off.
Yeah.
which is pretty funny. And then the cutaway shot on the ground, it's the wrong. Al blames it on Jay, the director, right away in the commentary, which is pretty funny that Jay was not able to communicate correctly with the props department. So, especially because, they had to talk with the props department to rig the clothing up to fall away on the left-hand arm, but then why would they provide him with the right hand? Maybe there was somebody in the props department that was like, you know what, I'm going to help these guys out. This needs to be punched up a little bit. It's almost there, but this is going to make it a lot better. So somebody in that props department was really on point, I guess.
Right. We all know that Weird Al, all of the video stuff he's done, he loves dismemberment and, chopping heads off and stuff. But somebody in the prop was like, yeah, but there needs to be a reason for the joke. It can't just be body parts all over the place.
Yeah.
It's the wrong body parts.
Well, howdy there, partner. Have you ever wished you could master the delicate art of the bullwhip? If you answered yes, then look no further than the Buster Ulysses Trail and Whip Institute of Pastoral Eccentricities. Here we can teach you all the ins and outs of the whip, including taming wild animals, swinging over obstacles, disarming opponents, and even the subtle art of seduction like that fedora-wearing fellow in the picture shows. But that's not where our selection of classes end. Oh no! We also teach trailblazing, cattle herding, wood carving, totem construction, woodland creature population control, tent pitching, and of course, knife fighting. So sign up for classes today by calling 555-BUTWIPE. Ah, dagnabbit, now we're gonna have to change the sign again. Cletus, why do you keep thinking of these dumb acronyms?
I do want to mention one other thing about Red Hawk, who's the guide number 2, I guess. When his arm falls off, when he kind of backs away and runs off screen, he actually does a pretty good job of selling that he only has one arm. It reminded me of when we were guessing on Spider-Man Minute, and we were talking about Dylan Baker kind of having a problem with selling that same kind of a gag in Spider-Man 2 as Dr. Connors.
Yeah, where he's kind of like half trying to hail a cab with his arm that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, and this guy is a virtual nobody, I guess, because I didn't bother to look for this minute what his name is. So he will remain a nobody on this podcast. But he sells it a lot better than Dylan Baker.
Yeah, I did find his name. Let's see if I can find it because... See, I have Guide 1 and 2, and now I can't remember from my notes which one is which.
Well, so Guide 2 gets dismembered. We had named him in episode 1. Guide 1 was Alfred Molina, and Guide 2 was Red Hawk.
Okay. So
or Jeep, I guess we called him Jeep. I call him Jeep.
As long as my notes are okay and goes along with that, then I think that's Joe Restivo.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course. But he is hard to find any info on. I think this is the only thing I could find that he did any acting in. He's actually, more of a production type person. I literally couldn't even Google and find a picture of him. The only way I could figure out who was who from the names and, which one was Guide 1 and Guide 2 was from the other guy, Tony Salome, that I actually found, like a YouTube video of him doing some stand-up or something like that.
Oh, really?
Well, I guess the other guy is the other guy then. I literally couldn't find any likeness of him to compare to anything.
Interesting. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a jungle?
No.
All right.
You?
No. Let me ask you, have you ever taken someone's arm off?
No. I was waiting for the follow-up.
Oh, the first time you'd asked me, return the favor.
David, have you ever taken anyone's arm off?
No.
Oh, okay.
Also, there's another fun gag in this minute of all the animal noises in the jungle. If you listen closely, there's cows and cats and sheep and things like that mixed in with the regular jungle noises, which is fun.
Now, to go with the wrong hand joke, it would be funny if we actually saw a sheep and we heard a moo or something like that. Like this jungle is all screwed up.
Like the opposites jungle. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Or it's like really dry and then not human.
Then I would expect that when we see the Weird Al character and then it shoots to a different character and then we come back to him, all of a sudden his jacket would be on backwards or there'd be some like craziness going on.
Well, he is going to wear his jacket backwards in a future minute. Actually.
Yeah, it's true. This jungle is crazy then.
Do we want to talk about any of the on-screen credits that we see? Any of the names that pop up in this minute? Yeah,
because these are a lot of fun characters coming up, and we'll talk about them more as they come up. Yeah, who do you want to start with? We'll go chronological or whatever fits your fancy.
Yeah, I guess chronological. Yeah. Kevin McCarthy, we have first. Unfortunately, we're not going to get him to be able to appear on this podcast for an interview, being that he passed away a number of years ago. So that's a really big bummer. But Kevin McCarthy plays R.J. Fletcher, and probably most famous for Invasion of the Body Snatchers, both the original and the remake. But I also noticed that he was on Weird Al had him on an episode of the Weird Al Show at one point, credited as the mayor. So it's kind of fun that Weird Al kind of had some of these people back again.
I'm sure I saw him in other things too, but I never saw the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But I did see between this and Inner Space.
I've never seen Inner Space.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man, Well, we will not be doing Interspace Minute, but maybe somebody will at some point.
Do I need to look into Interspace?
I would say yes. Maybe other people would say no. I don't know. But, I mean, you got Martin Short.
I saw Martin Short, and that Martin Short alone is probably enough to make me bite.
Martin Short and Meg Ryan.
Okay. Next we have Michael Richards.
We do. We sure do.
Michael Richards in the commentary actually talks quite a bit about Kevin McCarthy. I kind of reading between the lines, I don't think that Michael Richards enjoyed working with Kevin McCarthy that much, which I don't know, may not come as that much of a surprise given how Kevin McCarthy treats Michael Richards' character. Michael Richards, of course, plays Stanley Spadowski in the film, and is, of course, most famously known for his role as Kramer in Seinfeld. Kramer's hairdo was one that I emulated for a couple of years while I still had hair before I went bald.
I remember that. Now, if anyone characterized you as a Kramer, I mean, was that just a hairdo, or was that a character you were kind of going for? Or
yeah, no, it was interesting. I was still living at home when Seinfeld was on for the most part, like in high school and whatnot, and it was kind of like, it wasn't an off-limits show, but it was kind of frowned upon. So I didn't actually watch Seinfeld a lot at the time, but I was super into the character of Kramer, and I, kind of tried to dress like him when I could, and I was kind of tall and lanky like Michael Richards, and I did a couple high school dramas and definitely tried to like bring some of Michael Richards' physicality to my performances, probably not very successfully. He was Michael Richards as Stanley Spadowski and as Cosmo Kramer was a pretty big deal for me in high school around that time.
Oh, good. My favorite for this minute, my favorite credit coming up is David Bowie.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I would get disappointed a little bit every single time. I don't know why I would forget as a young person when I saw that name. I'm a huge David Bowie fan, and I would always be like, oh, and then, oh.
See, at the time when I watched this movie, I was aware, I would see the name, and I knew that there was a David Bowie out in the world. So I really didn't know if this was him or wasn't him, because I kind of thought that he didn't look the same, but that's as much as I knew. Like, I had no definitive anything to go off of. I did see Labyrinth, so I'm not really sure how that time frame fit.
Yeah, I'm sure I was watching Labyrinth at the same time, and it was obviously not the same guy.
He wears a lot of makeup in Labyrinth.
It's true, but just the voice and everything, I was pretty, I was clued in that we were dealing with two separate people.
Or he's a really good actor.
Well, yeah. One interesting credit for David Bowie. He was in A Few Good Men, which brings us to Aaron Sorkin, and I just want to bring up Aaron Sorkin to a piece of my life.
Yeah, Harvey Bilchik.
Yep, Harvey Bilchik.
Which I don't really know how. I don't know who made the decision to put these credits in what order. Maybe are they appearance? Maybe, I don't know.
No.
Yes, I was just surprised not to see Harvey Bilchik's credit, Stanley Brock next to the uncle and the aunt together, I guess.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, she comes a little later on. So I'm not sure. I think it has to do with your agent, and of course, you always want to be as close to the top build. I don't really know what kind of order. It's not in alpha order. It's in Crazy Jungle order, probably.
Well, they don't have the credits matched with the characters matched with the actors, but if they did, we would imagine that it would be like Kevin McCarthy as Stanley Spadowski, and be like, I don't know what's going on.
Anthony Greery, who plays Philo, would be next, who was at the time had been a big deal on the soap opera General Hospital. That's kind of a weird casting choice.
I thought they had somebody else in mind for that.
They did. We'll get back to that in a later minute because it's also skipping my mind right now.
Oh, I think I remembered, and I think we will save that for another time. And yes, I really want to wait to talk about these guys until later, but we've got Trinidad Silva and Getty Watanabe. I don't know why I keep tripping over that name, but as Raul and Cooney. We will definitely be talking about those guys later.
We're going to save those guys for later? All right.
I think so, unless you have something super pertinent.
Well,
I cannot wait.
It can't be that pertinent because they don't actually appear in this minute. So.
Although we do have a lot of animals, I guess Raoul, maybe he supplied some animals that used other animal sounds for this scene.
Yeah, this whole thing could be happening on the set of Raoul's Wild Kingdom, possibly.
Maybe this whole movie is within Raoul's Wild Kingdom.
I like that idea. We'll have to try and build up a case for that as the film progresses. But speaking of progressing, our characters in this minute have been. Are we really I just feel in this segment, are we going to use minute? Everybody out there listening, you understand that this isn't actually a minute. It's more than a minute. It's an ultra minute, okay?
We are shoving 62 seconds into a 60-pound box. Or, I don't know, a 60-second box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this ultra minute, our characters are progressing through the jungle after the dismemberment, which is hilarious.
And nobody seems to care.
Nobody seems to care, really. Even the guy who loses his arm just seems kind of mostly surprised, and that's kind of it.
I just, it is. I know we're just kind of going through this, but yeah, when he backs up, it's pretty funny. That he just, like you say, he just looks surprised, and then he just backs up. Like, where's he going? Just go back to his wife and just be like, "Hey, I lost another arm today." Yeah. He just bails on the thing. I don't know. Like, there's no communication. I guess you can't go pointing guns around without consequences. There's another question. Have you ever pointed a gun at somebody before? At somebody? Well, no, not pointed a real gun at a real person. I have fired guns before, but only at targets. I have pointed toy guns at people.
Okay.
But not in a sense that they thought it was a real gun. So, no real threat.
I guess the closest I've ever come at pointing a gun at somebody was my aunt and uncle got me a really cool BB gun pistol when I was younger. And it was like full on like metal and very heavy, like the same weight as an actual pistol. And this is like before you had to have an orange cap on the barrel or anything like that. It was really cool. And it was kind of like a high-powered BB gun pistol, and we had this metal barrel back behind the shed in the back of our property, and I wanted to see how powerful this BB gun was. I thought I could shoot a BB through this old rusty metal barrel. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I had my sister in tow with me, and she was watching the proceedings, and I fired at it, and nothing happened. I didn't even see a dent, and I was very disappointed. So I got closer, and so she went closer to see what was going on. And it didn't even dent it again. So I got right up within, I was probably 4 inches away from this barrel, and my sister was standing right next to me and shot the barrel, and of course it ricocheted off and hit her in the eye. Oh, geez, you shot her eye out. Yeah, it was a little dicey for a few minutes, but she's totally fine. She can see out of the other eye. So.
Oh.
Yeah, good times.
Lost another eye today.
Yeah, lost another eye today. Yeah, she just kind of backed away, surprised looking, and just kind of...
just a little bit of dab of blood on her shirt. Yeah. No big deal.
Surprisingly, it was the other eye that fell out, the eye that didn't get shot.
Have you ever seen someone take their eye out?
No. I can't even stand, kids that used to flip their eyelids out. That thing. Know what I'm talking about?
That's actually more graphic. I knew somebody when I was younger who had a glass eye, and he took it out. I didn't actually. I guess it's the trick of the question. I didn't actually see him take the eye out. I just know that at one moment he had it in, and he turned around, and then the next minute he didn't have it in his eye. So,
wow,
that was enough to freak me out. Anyway, I mean, I didn't really need to see it happen, but
sure. Well, speaking of seeing things happen, how about we see what happens next episode?
That sounds good, but I do have one question for you.
Sure.
So we have this guy who gets his left arm whipped off, and it falls, and it turns into a right arm. Mm-hmm. I know that you are a lefty. Does that... I mean, do you feel slighted by that at all?
That the left-handed people are underrepresented again, or get No, it doesn't bother me that much because it is a bummer being a left-handed person sometimes, but I don't do everything strictly left-handed. Like I play bass right-handed, and now that you mention it, I guess it bothers me a little bit.
I know what that means, but really, if you're right-handed, your left hand is actually doing like a lot more intricate stuff.
Yeah, I know. That's the only thing, I can think of, Jimi Hendrix famously strung his bass the other way, and Doug Pinnick from King's X, I believe, too.
That's your one-handed guitar player. I'm not sure how that would work. I'm sure there's a YouTube video for it somewhere.
Well, we know, if you're from the Nigel Tufner school, you can play with your foot.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I think that's it for minute 2.
Minute 2. Follow us on Twitter at UHF62ND. Come check out the Town Talk on Facebook, the Facebook listener group. Stay tuned.